Hello and welcome to another Brother Crypt YouTube video. The purpose of these YouTube videos is to show you how you can make passive income from Bitconnect and other cryptocurrencies. Today my main focus is going to be on how you can acquire your first Bitcoins to be able to get into the game, and this takes us to Localbitcoinscom. Now, for many years, since 2013, I've been using Localbitcoinscom to be able to buy Bitcoins from many different sellers all over, mainly in the UK. What I like about this site is that it's a global site, so you can select any sort of people in whichever country you're in. For the purpose of this video, we're focusing on the United Kingdom and to also buy our Bitcoin in GBP. Now, there are other places as well. You can also buy Bitcoin from exchanges. This is something that I've started to do recently. Some of the exchanges I use are Kraken. I also use Poloniex, and more recently I've started using Bittrex, but I'll cover some of the exchanges later on. The beautiful thing about localbitcoins.com compared to the exchanges is localbitcoins.com only concentrates on the sale of Bitcoins globally in multiple countries. You can't buy any other cryptocurrencies here. But this has been one of the first websites that I came across. It's been live since at least 2013, 2014, and like I've said, I've probably spent about £40,000 worth of Bitcoin in this website over the years. So the way it works is that when you log into Local Bitcoins, you'll need to create an account. Now, you can give this website as much verification as you want to. I think you need to provide maybe a form of ID, a passport or a driving license should suffice, or you can perhaps not even have to give the website the ID, because you can buy Bitcoins in mainly two ways. You can buy your Bitcoins online, and if you were to buy them online, some of the sellers in particular, if you haven't traded them with them before, they would require UID. However, you could also go the other route. You could buy Bitcoins with cash and actually register to meet these people face to face. This is something that I've never done. I've never bought Bitcoins face to face. But it is an option if you feel more secure that way. So it's really down to you. But the thing that I like to do when I'm in localbitcoins.com is just to bring up a few of the top cheapest sellers and then just click on their offers. So I'm going to click right click, and then we'll go into them individually. So let's just open up a few and then we can look at them at will. So here we go. So the way it works is that you would need to register an account. You'd need to have an account, and then you'll be able to see the terms of the seller usually. So we've logged into this seller who's called Timmy24. Now what's important is looking at the feedback score of the seller, and as we can see here, they have a feedback score of 100. I don't know how many transactions they've had. It doesn't necessarily show us, but they do have a good feedback score. And what it said is this seller requires SMS verification before you can make a purchase. Proceed to phone number verification here. So what that means is that basically my localbitcoins.com account, they do not have my phone number. I've never bought with Timmy before, but this is one of his requirements. You can also see here proof of ID may be required. Your local Bitcoins verified name must be the same as the account you are making payment from. Open a trade with me and I will try to be responsive as fast as possible. Happy trading. So basically the terms with Timmy is that he requires you to have SMS verification, as the website has pointed out, but he has written here that he may ask you for proof of ID, and he wants your local Bitcoins name verified to be the same as the bank account that you're making payment from. So usually with local Bitcoins, to get started, you will have to verify. You can have a username now, and that username might be John Travolta's sparkly shoes, or but then you must verify your real name with localbitcoins.com. Once you've verified your real name with them, then you could be eligible to enter a trade. But let's leave Timmy's profile and let's look at the other two that I brought up. Okay, so now this is usual. So if I wanted to buy 1 Bitcoin, I would just enter in 1 Bitcoin. And then it tells me the biggest amount I can buy from this customer is $101,871 worth of Bitcoin. So it doesn't sound like he has 1 Bitcoin, but really I'm not going to be buying any Bitcoin today. I'm just walking you through what's required. Now important, you would read the terms of the trade. Trades are checked automatically and Bitcoins are released within 30 seconds of receiving payment. New buyers are welcome. ID verification typically not required if you are verified on local Bitcoins. If the payment does not come from a bank account with the same name as you have verified on local Bitcoins, you may be required to present ID and proof of payment before Bitcoin's released. Okay, so this is really straightforward. If you have verified your name with local Bitcoins and you're using the same bank account as your verified names, then you shouldn't have to provide any ID to this seller. So what you would do here is just enter in the amount of Bitcoin, or you can enter the amount of pounds. So for example, we can enter in, we want to spend £1,800 in Bitcoin, and then that would give us a value of just over half a Bitcoin with 0.531880 worth. Okay, so if I did want to buy this amount, what you could do is, if you wanted to actually contact the buyer before you pull the trigger, before you start sending the money, typically what you would do is you would enter in the amount of Bitcoin you wish to buy, or enter the pounds worth of Bitcoin you wish to buy, and then you could write a message. So for example, one of the things I usually check is I would say, hi Blue Velvet, I'm registered with local Bitcoins and I've verified my name with them. Can you proceed on the requested order without asking for any further ID? Okay, and then I would send that off to him. But yes, we know that if our bank account is different from the name registered with the local bitcoins.com, that this seller would want to make sure that everything's above board, so they may ask for ID. However, usually that's the type of seller that I like to go with. My perspective of buying Bitcoins is that I usually try to find sellers who I've used in the past, and sellers who don't ask me for ID, because my personal details have already been verified with local Bitcoins. Therefore, in the best interest of my security, I don't want to be sending my ID to multiple different sellers who I don't know, have never met before, and probably will never meet. Not to say that there's anything above board, it's just I'm very sensitive with my personal information, and I don't like copies of my ID being sent over the World Wide Web unless it really has to. But yes, just moving on. Typically, you would send this sort of message. and then what would happen is within a few seconds, it looked like the seller was last seen online a minute ago. Within a few seconds or a minute, we would get a reply back from the seller. And then usually, if the seller wishes to proceed, has this amount of Bitcoin, is happy to proceed with the order without giving you further Bitcoin, then usually what they will do is they will send their bank details with you, their bank account number, their sort code, and then you can log on to your online banking and make the transfer. Once you have made the transfer might take about 10-15 minutes to show up on their side. If it doesn't show up, usually, then you should call your bank. Now, you must be warned that if you are calling your bank to find out where your payment has made, never tell your bank it's for Bitcoin, because remember, Bitcoin is a disruptor to the banking class. Banks do not really like to deal with Bitcoin payment transactions because they see it as a threat. What a bank might do is reject it. So if people have given you a reason, just be smart in what you say without saying Bitcoin. Say it's for an online purchase, and then usually that will be enough for the bank, and then they'll go off and make sure that the payment has been sent. And then when you've got confirmation from your bank, come back and then you tell the seller. Another point before we go is to check the seller's feedback. Now, usually I like to see the seller's feedback because it makes me a bit more comfortable. So if we look at Blue Velvet, they've had over 1,000 trades with over 1,879 different partners. I think that means people or entities, and they have a feedback score of 100, and they have had their real name verified 18 times or 21 times, and they've also been on the platform for 3 years and 8 months. So based on this track record and the number for people and the numbers that we see, this looks like a trusted verified seller. They've got 100% feedback score. And then for large amounts, they've also shown you their telephone number, so you can actually pick up the phone and talk to these people if you have to. Okay, so that's one way, or this is one seller. This is the second seller that we've looked at. So before we wrap up, let's just look at one more that I brought up. Now, our third seller is called Gainey. I think I've probably botched the pronunciation. They're selling their Bitcoin for slightly a bit more than the previous seller, and again they've said that proof of ID may be required. Your local Bitcoin's verified name must be the same as the account you are making payment from. Open a trade with me and I'll try to respond as soon as possible. Thank you for your consideration. So basically, similar sort of terms. If your verified name with local Bitcoins matches your bank account name, then the transaction should go through smoothly and they won't necessarily ask you for ID. However, it looks like this seller requires SMS verification, so we can't proceed to the second stage of potentially sending them a message as I showed you before. But before we go, let's just look at their feedback too. Okay, so they've been on the platform for 3 months. And they've had over 100 different trades. So in comparison to the previous seller has had more experience. They've been on the platform for longer. Their Bitcoin price was slightly cheaper. So if I was about to buy Bitcoin, I would go through the second seller that we brought up, the one just shown. But there's absolutely nothing with this profile that we're looking at. So there you have it, really. This is the main core of my video. I just wanted to walk you through Localbitcoinscom and just give you an overview of how you can buy Bitcoin from anybody online. As I also mentioned before, you could sort of bring up similar adverts from other people on local Bitcoin who you can arrange to actually meet in person to see if they're in your area, and then you can meet with them physically and then buy Bitcoins from them physically. I guess you would give them the cash, or once they see the cash, then they would send the Bitcoins to you. Now, a few things that you should be aware of is that when you're buying Bitcoins, it's good to take them off the exchange. So, for example, when you make a purchase and you've bought the Bitcoins, it will be held in a sort of escrow. So usually the seller's Bitcoin is already held in escrow by Localbitcoinscom. All they need to do is confirm the transaction. Once they confirm the transaction, they are going to send the Bitcoins to your Localbitcoins.com wallet, and then when you receive it, it will be here. It will show you what your balance is. Let's say 1 Bitcoin or 0.5 Bitcoin, as we did in the previous example. But one of the things is that I recommend is that when you do get your Bitcoins, you should always send it to your personal wallet. So that way you are in control of your own Bitcoins. It's in a wallet which you held. And in my previous video, I recommended the Trezor wallet. This is a hardware wallet, and in my opinion, it's the quickest wallet. However, there are all types of wallets that you can have. If you do get a software wallet that runs on your phone or that runs on your computer, they are sound too. Ones on your computers are probably more sound, because if you do have a wallet on your phone, your Bitcoin's not going to sit on your phone. It's going to be held with another website, and that website is likely to own or have control over your Bitcoins. So you should be independent as possible. So once you've bought your Bitcoins, I recommend that you send your Bitcoins to a wallet like the Trezor. And I touched on the Trezor in a previous video, and what I will do is give you a breakdown and show you how you can get your Trezor wallet. So I think really that's all when it comes to local Bitcoins. But before I go, I'll just quickly touch on exchanges as well. So this is one of the exchanges that I use, and this is called Poloniex. Now, exchanges are different from websites like Local Bitcoins, because websites like Poloniex are designed for traders, mainly for you to have your Bitcoin and then for you to trade it with other cryptocurrencies such as Ripple, Litecoin, Ethereum, Monero, Bitcoin Cash, the list goes on. This is really where the traders and their trading bots really come to play and exchange cryptocurrencies all day. I've used these websites to sell my Bitcoins. So how it works is, for me to make passive income, I get my cryptocurrency, and then I send it to Bitconnect. And then once it's with Bitconnect, I get an average rate of interest of 1% a day. Once that interest is paid and it accumulates to a few £1,000s worth, I then get my cryptocurrencies, my Bitcoin, off the Bitconnect exchange. I put it onto my Trezor, and then from my Trezor, when I'm ready to sell it, I'll bring it to one of these exchanges. Now, if you're going to be in cryptocurrencies and you're interested in acquiring other cryptocurrencies, such as the ones that I've mentioned, I recommend that you sign up for one of these accounts. However, for you to sign for one of these accounts, sometimes the process can be a bit long-winded. So for example, you can register, you might be able to send Bitcoin straight away, but if you ever wanted to withdraw any funds from the exchange, you would need to be verified. They would need to go through know your customer routine, which means sending them your identification, proof of your address, etc. And sometimes with these exchanges, they can take up to a few weeks. Coinbase, in my opinion, which is based in the US, they're the worst. They probably took like 3 or 4 months for me. Poloniex and Kraken, they were quick at processing my application. But the flavor of the month, the best one for me at the moment is Bittrex. I really like the Bittrex site because they seem to have the biggest amount of cryptocurrency pairs. So they have the majority of the coins that I'm interested. Very similar like Poloniex, but they have things like 10x, which I don't think is on Poloniex. And they have some other sexier coins too. So out of all of them, at the moment I'm using Bittrex the most. And again, same thing applies if you want to join Bittrex. Be prepared to send them your personal identification, and it might take anywhere from a week to 2 weeks, maybe a month, for them to verify your details. The reason why it takes so long for these exchanges to verify your details is because lots of people are now coming into the cryptocurrency space. Lots of people are now registering accounts. It's booming for them. I heard something like Coinbase in the US again is processing something like 100,000 applications a day. It's just ridiculous amounts of money swarming into the markets. Okay. And another thing, coming back to CoinMarketCap.com, one thing I recommend that you always do, as I mentioned to you previously, is to jump on here. So if you join into CoinMarketCap.com, by default the prices show it in USD, but then what you should do is just scroll down and press Great British Pounds, and then what you can see is close to the market price of the cryptocurrency that you're interested in this case Bitconnect, in this case Bitcoin, excuse me. So today, right now, as I make this video, you can see that the price of one Bitcoin is valued at £3,312.99. Now, why I like to come here before I buy a cryptocurrency is so I know what the rough market rate is, and therefore the margin or the spread or the makeup that most other sellers are selling. So let's just refresh this page so we can see that the most cheapest price that we can get it from online is 3378.50. Okay. And then we can see here that yes, there's a difference of about 50 or 60 pounds. Now this would upset me a little bit, but then there are fees invested with purchasing, just like how you would exchange your pounds to get dollars. The price on Google is always the most attractive, but when you go to the foreign exchange currency, you never get as much as Google would be prepared to give you. It works exactly the same way. And the way that I look at it is that there are fees and there are costs associated with the sale of any product or any commodity or any cryptocurrency. So if we look here at CoinMarketCap, this gives you the fair price, 33,112. And local bitcoins 3378, about £60 difference. So if we check Poloniex, we would look at Bitcoin. How can I just bring up the Bitcoin price? Yes, let's look at USDT. Okay, so the problem is here with Poloniex, we're not looking at pounds, we're looking at dollars, but what we can do is look at the dollar price here. Okay, so the dollar price of Bitcoin right now is 4,241, and if we look at Poloniex, we can see that the price going into Tether, which is close to a USD marker, is 4,233. Okay, so it's slightly cheaper on Poloniex, which makes sense because what you'll find is that cryptocurrencies are usually cheaper on exchanges like your Polonial X, like your Kraken, like your Bittrex. However, there are bigger fees moving your money into and out of the exchange. So, for example, and it will take you a longer amount of time. So if you wanted to be able to buy your Bitcoin from Polonial X, you would need to register. And then once you've registered, you would need their bank account details. So you would send the exchange your money. And then that would maybe just probably take you about 24 hours. If you're lucky, 48. Sometimes it could be a little bit longer. So once the exchange has received your funds, then they would need to process it, take it from their bank account and assign it to you, and they would charge you a fee, usually probably a small percentage, 1 to 3% spread, probably up to $50 just for you getting money into the exchange. And then if you were to take out your money or your purchase bitcoins, there would also be a slight fee out. So it works in tandem, although it seems like it's most expensive from buying your bitcoins here. It does sort of balance out. Just take this as a cost of business, or the cost of you making passive income. It's just something that you have to take on the chin. But yes, so that's really the video for now. I hope this video has been helpful to you. If you do have any questions, let me know. If there's any videos you'd like me to create, also let me know. And yes, please subscribe, please share this video with other people, please like this video, and please spread the word out. And I wish you much success in your Bitcoin and cryptocurrency journey. Take care until next time. Bye.